Hi everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Canary Room, episode 5 of season 7. Firstly, a huge thank you to everyone who's subscribed to the channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please think about subscribing, and you'll get notifications every time we go live on the Canary Room channel here. We've got now over 18,000 subscribers, which when I started this little show in 2016, I never imagined we'd get that many people following us. So if you have subscribed, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It means the absolute world to me. So what have we got coming up today? Well, exciting news in the Canary Room, everyone. The 2024 breeding season is underway and our first new arrivals have joined us, so a little bit of that to look forward to. It's been a good solid start with the Canaries, certainly with the Fifes. We'll talk about those in a little bit of depth. We've got the Norwich Notebook, catch up on the news on the Norwich Canaries, of course the Red Pole Diaries. We've got a bit of to-do list as well, and we'll see how those the Grey Wings are getting on too. So listen, you know what to do. Grab yourself a cuppa, sit back and enjoy the show. You might be able to see behind me, it's the main bank of Fife breeding for 2024. We've got 23 Fife hens on this wall, and there's another 7 over there, so there's 30 in total in the room this year. 29 of the 30 have laid, and actually the one hen which is yet to lay, which is in cage 14, she's built a nest. I've seen her mated, and she's mated with the green ring ticked yellow cock. So I've seen her mated, so I expect her and anticipate her to lay any day. So it's been a while since I've had every hen lay, but look, don't let me kid you into thinking that everything has been without drama, because it most definitely hasn't. So I have a couple of hens that have just laid one egg. Those of you who follow us on Facebook will see, certainly on the Spencer and Eld site, that I was relatively clumsy and dropped an egg earlier this week. That hen has only laid one egg. I think it's called Sod's Law, everyone. I've got another green buff hen, which has only laid one. I've had a hen which has laid and not sat, and a cinnamon hen which has laid 3 eggs but has then proceeded to smash them all up. So it hasn't been without its drama. We have got some new arrivals. The first canary to hatch in the Canary Room this year is a cinnamon. Now I say a cinnamon, it could be a fawn or a cinnamon. It's definitely a hen because of the way it's bred. And the second bird to hatch was also a cinnamon, and I say it could be a fawn because of the way that it was due to hatch. So or it was bred rather. So Blue hen on the end has hatched 5 out of 5 so far, and as I speak to you today, the other end of the shed, the other blue, she's just got 2 out, and there's another 2. They were due yesterday, so they haven't hatched, or they hadn't hatched us this morning, so we'll see. Give them a couple of days, they may well hatch. So we've got chicks starting to chip out. There'll be more when this episode comes out. There'll be more due today. I think we've got another 5 or 6 due today to hatch. So solid, and then every 3 days or so there's a round of nests. Fertility levels I've been really quite happy with. Many of you will know I'm striking the cockbirds on this side of the room. What that means is I've got cockbirds running over a multiplicity of hens. We've got a clear buff cock here who in cage 3, probably just out of shot. And he's gone with 9, not 9 hens at all. He's gone with 6 hens though, and he has. They're all on eggs, and I've seen him mate 4 of them. Now, what always surprises me is that sometimes you can run a cockbird in and they'll mate straight away, and the eggs can be clear. And sometimes you can run a cockbird in and the birds will fight like tigers, and that was the case with the bird in cage 28. Now this is a clear yellow hen I bred last year, did well for me on the show bench. I ran the cockbird in They fought like tigers. And she laid 5 eggs, and I thought, well, I'll leave those for a few days. I'll check them because they'll be clear. And all 5 were full. So I had left him in overnight, so obviously at some stage there's been a successful mating, and he's fertilised all those eggs, so excited to see that. The other thing really to think about is, hens will get off the nest, and I sort of, this time of year, I'm in and out of the room 4 or 5 times a day. I'm topping egg food up, I'm topping soak seed up, but I try not to disturb the birds too much. Don't worry if a hen comes off the nest. They will come off the nest to feed. What you do need to be concerned about is if a hen is off for a prolonged length of time. And the way of checking the eggs is if you just hold them to your lips, you'll be able to see whether they're still warm or not. If they're still warm, don't worry about it. If they're gone cold, then that's time really to think about moving on to somewhere else. So a little bit of an update on this wall with the single hens. That's going well. On the other wall where we've got pairs, all of the pairs have now laid. As I say, one's just laid the 1 egg, but all of those pairs have now laid. They're all incubating. White line, interesting update. Looks like, again, we've got a nest of clear eggs out of the white cockbird. The white hen, which won for me at North Wales, she's down on 5 eggs. So we'll see if they're full. They're only just being set. Got a fawn hen there with the blue cock. She's down on 3 eggs. So all in all, Fife-wise, solid start. Stuff still to happen. Solid start. Let's check in now with our friends in the Redpole Diaries. So many of you, certainly those of you who watched our first episode of season 2 of the Native Diaries, and for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, for the next few months or so at least, every other weekend we'll alternate between the Canary Room and the Native Diaries. The Native Diaries filmed slightly differently. It's still got me in, I'm sorry. But we catch up with the birds, all of the native birds in the room. So since you were last here, I have taken a trip to see a good friend of mine, Alan Horey. Al is an absolute legend. Gerald and I went over on Tuesday of this week. I'd been over to see Al on Monday. And I'd picked up some birds, which I'll show you next week in the Native Diaries, but I'd also picked up a couple of redpole hens. So I'd gone from sort of 5 pairs of redpoles to 7 pairs of redpoles, which means I get to use now a couple of the redpole cockbirds that I'd bred and I really wanted to use. Redpole-wise, we've got 2 of the birds in the flight cages here, 2 pairs of pieds, which are both built and are both on 5 eggs. Now, I haven't checked those eggs. I've just left them alone, and I intend to do that. They've been set for probably about a week now, so I could check them. Incubation period of a redpole, 10 to 11 days. All right, so I've got live food that I'm giving them. I'm giving them mini mealworms. I've been giving them a little bit of soak seed, so I've really sort of tried to get them into condition nicely. They're looking good. I'm trying to keep sort of disturbance to a minimum with them. On the cages underneath the window, I've got 3 pairs in there now, so there's 2 pairs of cobalts and there's a split pied silver hen, and a pied cock. One of the pairs of cobalts is built up, the other one hasn't really done anything yet, but that's understandable. She's a younger hen. The split pied, as you can see a picture of it here, got messed around with a bit of nesting material, and then I've got a pair of normals and a split Isabel cock with a normal hen. So plenty of stuff to see with the redpoles, and they're always they're delightful birds. One of the things I'm really chuffed to bits about is that my love for them seems to be infectious. So I know a number of keepers now have added redpoles to their mix of studs, and I think in some part at least, I'm partly responsible for that. I'm not sorry. I think it's wonderful that everybody's getting to enjoy these wonderful little birds, delightful little birds. They are full of heartbreak. My IOA rings have now arrived, which is brilliant, so I will cover them. They're red. I will cover them when I ring the birds, but that means that that they're all rung. Regular viewers to the Native Diaries will know that we've got a bully hen who's, I think, just off the nest at the moment. She's feeding at the moment, but she's on eggs. Again, I haven't checked them, so we'll see how we get on. But redpoll wise, so far so good. Stay tuned next week. Follow the Native Diaries, and we'll see how we get on with them. It's time now for this month's to-do list. So this month's to-do list is really about sort of nest management and the management of the room in the breeding season, the early stages in the breeding season. We are now making soak seed up again. So there is a little how-to video on the Canary Room of how I make my soak seed. I'm using a soak seed at the moment, which is it's a Vasson product. I think it's pronounced Vasson. It's a stunning soak seed. I think it's really good. It chits, which basically germinates really quite easily. So I'm giving that to the hens with young in the nest. I'm also feeding it to the native British finches, and they seem to be devouring it and enjoying it, and that will help them get into condition. In the Canary Room now, where I'm running multiple cocks or cockbirds with multiple hens, a number of those cockbirds now have done their job. So our second part of the to-do list is really managing the cocks in between the rounds. So, as I say, the cockbird in cage 3, he's covered 6 hens. They're all on eggs. The first one's due out this weekend. The key for him now is a little bit of rest and recuperation. So he's in his single cage at the very top, so he gets a lot of light up there. I've given him a little bit of broccoli. I'll give him egg food. You want to get the bird, you want to keep the bird fit, but you don't want the bird overly fit. I don't want him getting sort of overly proteined and too aggressive, but I want to keep him fit. I don't want his condition to drop. I'm not going to need him, all being well, for another 3 weeks or so. And so he's got a sort of a 3-week rest, if you like, a 3-week holiday. What I'll generally do with when it comes to second round birds or second round breeding is see, obviously what hatches, wait for the young in the nest to be about 14 days, and then I will reintroduce him to the hens. Now, most of the time that reintroduction should be okay. And the second round is often, as the birds get into fitness, the second round, I find, certainly for me, is often more fertile than the first round. But we'll see. So that's the second thing of our to-do list. So, keeping the cockbirds sort of separated, but keeping them fit. And the third and final aspect of our to-do list in this stage of the breeding season is basically then cage management. I gave all the birds another deep clean last week, just before, as birds were laying and sitting and setting, and then I will just keep sort of scraping perches, getting excess poo off the floor and various things like that. So the room, try and disturb the cages as little as possible, but at the same time keeping them as hygienically clean as I possibly can. So that's this month's to-do list. Coming up now, well, they're behind me, so let's catch up with the Norwich Notebook. Well, what can we say about the Norwich? Well, got 2 Norwich who have laid. Another one has built up, and I think will lay in the next day or so. And then we've got 2 Norwich, one with a white cockbird and one just in the cage behind me. She is picking up, but not building up yet. So we've had 7 Norwich eggs laid. I have set them under 5 canaries, mainly where I've got pairs running. I think the first 3 I set were empty. I've seen, but haven't checked too closely, the other 4. I think at least 2 of them are full, which will be good news. When I check eggs, I'm very careful because I'm not without experience of dropping eggs, so I do use my egg tweezers. And all I do, and you can see it here on camera, is I'll pick an egg up in the tweezers, and I just put my phone down on the side, and I film it, and I'm looking basically for a vein or veins or an element of veins in the egg. Normally visual after sort of 4 days. You can sometimes see them at 3. Certainly a week down the line, you'll be able to see them. The egg should be sort of a reddy colour inside, and that's essentially how you check eggs. So I do try and check the eggs. I'm not adverse to letting hens sit, and you'll notice both Norwich hens, they're on pot eggs at the moment, but they're both sitting. I want them to sit the cycle. They're not egg laying machines. I want them to sit the cycle. I want them to get used to an incubation period. I will, at 14 days, I'll remove those eggs, the pot eggs, and I will sort of put them back down again. I'll give them baths, and I'll offer them new nesting material as well. So Norwich, steady, I think, more than anything else at this moment in time. So that's our Norwich notebook. Above me on the grey wings, I've got one down on eggs. I've got the mongrel hen with a grey wing cock. She's down on eggs, and then I've got a pair here who are being absolute nuisances and nesting in the corner. So we'll see how they get on. Well, listen, that's all we've got time for today. If you've enjoyed the show, please hit a like. I always try and reply to your comments below, so if you'd like to see anything else from the Canary Room, hit it in the comments below and I'll see what I can do. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, come on, give it a subscribe, you know you want to. Listen, until next time, everyone, take care.